Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, perhaps consider subscribing. And if you could also do something positive and give these videos a thumbs up, it would be much appreciated. And welcome to this small family farm. My name's Ollie, I work on this farm. I'm going to show you today some of the things we do to keep farming in 2021 and going forward to 2022. About 2 years ago, I used to do farm tours here on the farm, and sadly, because of the recent events in the world, I haven't been able to do my farm tours. So nowadays, it's all online on social media via Olly's farm. And today, we're going to finally answer some of your questions about how this farm makes a living, how it pays its bills in this current climate we're in at the moment. Things are not easy in farming here in the UK, and you know, things are changing. So this is probably one of the most important videos we've done on the farm. And today we're going to go around the farm in the farm buggy. This is what I use all the time for checking animals and getting out and about. So one of the most important things, as we come out of the machinery shed, this on the left here is our stables. This is where we keep horses for ourselves and also for other people as well. And if you have a look on the roof, we've got solar panels on there. And solar panels, they produce electricity. That's going to be fed back into the grid. We receive a payment for that. Just next door, where we've got the teleporter here, we've got the biomass shed. Inside, there's wood. We harvest the wood off the farm, and then we also burn it and produce heating for ourselves and for other people as well. And then we receive payment through the heating for heating people's houses. And my job on this farm is to calculate and work out what's making money and what isn't. Not only am I training to be a farmer, I've been to agricultural college for 3 years. I've also got to work out how the farm's going to make money from now and going into the future. So we're just driving up here now across the road. This is a menage here, a horse menage. We built this earlier on in the year, and as you can see, there's a number of jumps in here. And the reason for that is because we hire this out to people who enjoy the rural pursuit of horse riding. So they'll come around with their horse trailers, park the horse trailers, and then they'll go for a ride, and they'll also go show jumping around the arena here. And as well as allowing people to ride their horses around here, we're now in 2022 looking at having some more people on the farm here to keep their horses here. So consider it like a horse bed and breakfast. It's another way we can earn a living by servicing the equine industry. So this land we're just driving onto now, this is a field here. Last weekend I came along and pulled this section of the field up. Now what's going to be quite interesting with this is later on next year in springtime I'm going to plant this with a special wild bird mix, and that is a crop which will be grown not to feed people, to feed the population, but it's a crop which we're being paid for currently by the European Union, and it will then transition to the UK government, who will then pay us, this farm, to grow a wildflower mix of some description for the environment. So not many farmers will probably tell you this, but if you do see some wild bird mixes on the farms, if you do see sunflowers, things like that, chances are if it's in a 1 hectare strip or something like that, it's probably being grown for the environment. So farmers can earn a living out of farming the environment nowadays, rather than farming for crops, farming for produce. So that's another way we're starting to earn a living, and it's becoming a more and more important part of the farm. It's how we're going to basically replace the losses we get from crop production more and more these days. Crop production is very, very difficult. You need bigger equipment, you need to be more efficient, and it's just not making very much money at the moment, unfortunately. So this is something you're going to see a lot more of here in the UK. And growing up, I've been trying to train to be a farmer, but I've found myself more and more increasingly over the years learning to be a rural entrepreneur, because that's what you have to be nowadays. You can't just be a farmer, otherwise you'll go bankrupt. So this piece on the right here, this is a gallops. We put this in earlier on again in the year, and this is an area where people who enjoy horse riding can come onto this field, ride around with their horse at high speed and enjoy taking their horse for a spin. A bit like a racetrack for a car. So you need a place to put your foot on the accelerator. Okay, and here's something which is quite interesting. Alright, so earlier on in the year, we planted this field in springtime with spring barley, and that's a product which has now gone into make beer production. We've then got this field which we're going to leave fallow over winter in certain areas, and we get paid to leave part of this field in fallow, again, for the environment. But for the other section of the field, in the middle we have drilled a cover crop of turnips, which we've always grown for many years, but only recently our farmers actually starting to get paid for it because of the benefit to the environment. Cover crops help protect against soil erosion, they provide the soil biome with phosphorus, and they help to improve the soil structure. So it's been a worthwhile endeavour doing it for all these years. It's just something we've always done here before the payments came in. So it just so happens that we were able to be paid to grow turnips, which we've always been doing since we came to this farm in 2002. And during the winter months, we put the cattle and sheep on these turnips to graze the field. It gives the cattle and sheep some food, and it's something which we're also being paid for to do. So it's a win-win, really. Something we look for a lot on this farm is a win-win. Just coming across from the turnip field, this is a field which we've again put into a winter fallow. This has no turnips on it, this one, but it is at the moment growing a lot of weeds and thistles, which will be cultivated up in the spring next year. But for the moment, it's a safe haven for the environment. And something which is becoming increasingly apparent is that, you know, here in the UK, we seem to be earning more money out of the environment nowadays than we do actually farming. These are some bales which we'd harvested from earlier on in the year. These will be taken back into the yard to feed the cattle and sheep. You know, the cattle and sheep are, in effect at the moment, quite an expense to the farm because we have to bed them down, we have to muck them out and feed them, and in return they provide us with beef and lamb, which is what we produce on here to sell. However, with the livestock on their own, we wouldn't be able to make much money out of them. The livestock don't make very much for the farm, actually. It's the combination of the environment with the livestock which supplement each other in order to make money out of the livestock, if that makes sense. So without our stewardship zones, without the cover crops such as turnips, which we can feed to the animals, we wouldn't be earning very much money out of the livestock. And we're very lucky that we're able to merge the two, if that makes sense, the environment and both the livestock. Okay, so this current crop here is sugar beet, for anybody who doesn't know. The tops get cut off by the machine, the roots are lifted out of the ground, and then it goes to a factory to produce sugar. We earn a little bit out of sugar beet. Sometimes it loses money, sometimes it makes money. It's like that in farming, it's very up and down. So we grow a lot of different crops, not only to play the market and to reduce the risk, but also to improve our cropping rotation, to break up the rotation and to eliminate diseases and weeds from our soil. It's a difficult one really to manage, but we do try our best with it, and it does seem to be working. At the moment the sugar beet is still growing, and they'll be finished in about December time growing, and we'll start harvesting in the end of December and towards January next year. Okay, so we're growing spring barley for beer, sugar beet. We also grow fodder beet for the cattle, which is something very similar to the sugar beet, but that's something we need to feed them over the winter months. And then we also rent some fields out during the year, such as potatoes. These ones at the moment, the company's just struggling to get them harvested because of the tops. They just need to die off a bit more so they can mow them down. But we get a payment from the company, depending on the field size, generally speaking of about £6,000 a year. And we don't have to do anything with the field, we rent it to them, they come in, they cultivate the field, they plant their crop of potatoes, they harvest them, and then they leave. And that's how it works every year. So that's another good income for the farm. It's low risk because you know what you're going to get every year for the rent. The people who take on the risk are the potato company. A steady income for the farm, low risk, and something which we require. You know, it is always good to rent the odd field out just to help reduce the risk. And then just to the right of the gator, these are our 6 metre buffer margins. It's just 6 metres of grass around the fields, which we leave, again, just like the stewardship for the environment. And then once a year we do come in and mow them off. As you can see, I've mowed half of this one off, and then I'll probably be mowing the other half off very soon. We reduce our NVZ zones, nitrogen vulnerable zones, and it's also an area which we can earn a living out of, rather than growing it with crops, planting crops there. So it's a stable income. There's still many years left in our contract. We generally get a contract with these buffer margins. So it's an interesting one on the farm at the moment. We're sort of half farming the environment and half farming crops, as you can see on my right. And looking ahead to the next 5 years, I think it's going to become increasingly important to farm more of the environment in the UK rather than crops, because the problem with growing crops in this country is they're just too expensive to grow at the moment. So it's the farmers who can adapt with the times and try and farm more of the environment, I think, who will be able to keep going. And it does get to a point where, you know, are you still a farmer if you're farming the environment, if you're essentially a park keeper of the land? You know, that's just the way it's going, unfortunately. You know, I could still be able to earn a living from the environment, but also farm at the same time by producing grass bales for the equine industry, by mowing pastures down, by doing cultivating, planting cover crops. There's still farming involved, it's just a different type of farming. Farming is changing a lot in the UK and globally as well. The costs of everything are going up through the roof, and what you get for your product at the end of the day, the crop, isn't very much. So it's the farmers who can diversify and do other things, such as the equine industry, tourism. We have a holiday cottage just over there which we rent out. It's the farmers who can change and adapt with the times who will still be going in the future. So I hope so far it's given you a little bit of an idea as to how we make money on the farm, how we earn a living. This is something else which we've got, a byproduct if you like on the farm, is you need machinery. Something I've been finding out over the last few years is that actually machines, tractors, don't make very much money. If you have a business which requires tractors, such as contracting, it's becoming increasingly difficult to earn a living with the machines. In the future we'll do less and less contracting and we'll be farming more for ourselves, but it will be things like producing silage for the horse industry, for liveries, bed and breakfast horses, and basically using tractors on the farm for our own purposes. So this is the way it's going at the moment. The sheep and the cattle on the farm at the moment, they make money, but through the environment. The crops, they still make a little bit of money for the farm, but not very much. It seems to be more renewable energy, the environment, and tourism, which is all about the equine industry, giving people a place to stay. We have some accommodation on the farm now, where people can stay over and enjoy the rural life. You need to look at your farm as a resource nowadays, rather than something for producing food at the same time, if that makes sense. And that's what we're continually doing on this farm. And that's what's very important about a video like this, is sometimes I can get stuck in with farming and I forget that actually, as much as I love something, it might not be making money. So it's nice to reflect sometimes and just realise, you know, what is making money, what's not making money. Farm has to be run as a business. A lot of people get into the ruts of running a farm as a farm because perhaps generations of people have done it in a certain way. You know, that doesn't necessarily mean that you know, it's the way the current generation has to do it. You can move and adapt with the times. You have to be like water. You have to be moving down the river, flowing in different directions, ready to change at any moment. And that's never been more important in farming here in the UK at the moment. So it's going to be interesting in the next few years ahead to see what farmers are doing basically to earn an extra income, or to earn an income to keep the farms going. We'll be going later on in the year to the Farm Business Innovation Show at the NEC in Birmingham. And we're going to be going there to look at some new ideas, some new ways of generating some extra income to keep the farming going, because it's just basically modern day farming is not making very much money at the moment. So it's important to look ahead, try and think about the future. We can't just live in the moment now, we've got to look beyond, play the long game, and hopefully we'll still be here farming in many years to come. And try to be positive, as I always say in my videos. Try and make the best out of the worst situation, and keep trotting on, as they say here in Norfolk. Thanks for watching today's video, and I'll catch you on the next one.